live stream. Welcome, guys, to today's live stream. If you're here, just let me know your name in the comment section as usual, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Today, we are going to be talking about, can student pilots listen to music while flying? So, that's what we're going to be discussing today. Um, Oh, okay, welcome. Very gorgeous beauty. It's nice seeing you today. Ah! So we're just going to be starting. Just let's just give like a little time for more people to join us. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up to this video. I provide the sacrifice. Okay, okay. You provide the spirit. Okay. Edo Timothy, welcome. How was your day and how was studies? My day went, I'm going to say stress free, kind of, because I didn't really do much today. But it's quite fine. And what of you? How was your day? Very gorgeous beauty too. How was your day? I would really like to know. Thanks so much for asking. Okay, your day was so bad. Edo Timothy, I'm fine, thank you. Okay, my day was not good, not bad. Why now? Vego just beauty. Your day was not good, it was not bad. You need to be on one side. It's either you're on this side or you're on this side. You have to choose. But anyway, guys, we're going to be starting just immediately, even as other people like join us. So, like I said we're going to be talking. Can student pilots listen to music or listen to music? Let's use the word listen to music while flying or play music while flying. Okay, first of all, the things I would like you to know is that when you're flying with an instructor, first of all, the tension or the pressure is not even going to allow you to think about anything. Moreover, flying with an instructor self doesn't give you that liberty to like use probably an earpiece, or when you're doing like an exercise, because like when you fly with your instructor, you like go to do an exercise every single day, you like do different exercises every single day. So that is completely like ruled out, so you can't even do that with an instructor. Let's start from there. So when is the time that you kind of have the opportunity to like get that extreme to even want to use an earpiece, or maybe listen to a music or listen to something on your phone? The only time you get to do that is probably when you're flying cross country. And I mean, when you're flying cross country, like I've said it before, cross country, you fly from a particular aerodrome to another aerodrome. Like for example, you're flying from like Zaria to Kanu, or Zaria to Jos, or Zaria to Katsina, or I'm just calling like few places that we basically like fly to. So when you're doing that, so you have like lengthy time, you have more time to say you want to like spare around that kind of stuff. So during the course of that flight, then maybe these are times that you have it in your mind that, okay, can I NCAT, welcome to today's live stream. And I'm sorry guys for not coming out yesterday actually. So I'm happy that you guys are here today. Welcome. So that's the liberty of time you now get to think about even using an earpiece, or will I say trying to listen to music. So does this happen? Actually, in the aircraft, especially in advanced aircraft now, like Diamonds, maybe the DA40 or DA42 series, they give you this. There are places you can like connect your headset to like listen to music and all that. But in the TB9, I've really not noticed anywhere that you can actually you said the name. Okay, maybe you should give me like an idiom on how to call that name. Mu- Muchindu Sitali. That's what I can like pronounce. So maybe you can give me, you can cut it half, 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 so that I'm sure I'm like pronouncing it in the right way. Sorry about that. So guys, as I was saying, so that's the time you like have the liberty to like use. But in the TB9, I don't think I've noticed anywhere that you can like plug maybe any device that you can like listen to music through. But maybe through your phone, can you listen to music? Yes, but is it advisable? No. And the no is in capital letter. This is why I say no personally. Is because uh, at that time you're supposed to be so alert when you're going for cross country flights. You're supposed to be alert to the point whereby you observe what's going on around you, because you're flying at a higher level than usual. Okay, usually when you go for exercise, maybe you fly like around 5,000, then now you're flying around like 8,000, or you're flying around, yeah, 8,000, or let me say 9,500 or 7,500. So you need to be more alert, and not only that, you need to be able to like listen to radio communications. Like me, if I feel that maybe the flight is quite getting quite boring, or getting not so interesting, like maybe the person you're flying with is not too like friendly or something, I think the best thing for you to do is to tune to listen to radio calls, and know how to like write. Like personally, I write radio communications that's given to other people. So it's, for me, I feel like it helps me interpret the ATC radio communication very fast, and it also gives me the opportunity to hear what other aircrafts are doing. But like listening to music during the flight, people, yes, can do it, but Musa Sela, welcome to today's live stream. I can see you. It's nice. Don't forget, just leave your aviation questions. We're going to be treating them one after the other. We are going to be treating them in the course of this video. And thanks for joining in today. So, guys, as I was saying, for me, I don't think it's very safe, because what if like another aircraft is like calling you, maybe trying to ask you for help, maybe help them relay a message, or maybe the ATC is trying to like talk to you, or maybe something's about to happen, maybe an aircraft is like passing through your around you, something like that. You just need to be oversensitive, like, because I've said it before that in aviation there's no room for mistakes. And though I've asked this question before, does the TB9 have a flight recorder? I don't think so. It doesn't have a flight recorder. Obviously, you might not know what the person was doing when whatever happened, but it's always good to be safe, even for yourself. So can student pilots listen to music maybe through their phones? Yes, it's possible during cross country now. That's what I'm trying to say. Not your regular flight with your instructor, because nobody's going to give you that liberty. But is it safe? No, it's totally unsafe. And so if you are doing it, I know some people are hearing me. So if you are doing it, or you've been doing it, I'm going to advise that you stay safe. It's better like you stop doing it. so that you don't like put yourself into trouble. That's my personal advice for you concerning that. Then there are some other questions I would really like to touch today before we go so far with this. Okay, welcome guys. You can see more people are joining us. Just make sure you like leave your name as usual. Let me know who is here, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Okay, yeah, I also wanted to talk about something. Someone was asking me in the comment sections. I saw that today anyways. I really didn't check the date of that question, but I saw it today. And a person was asking me about loans to like come to flight school and all that. We don't give loans to come to flight school. Like, we just like give, or I'm going to use the word for now because personally I think I have that desire. Maybe someday I'll like consider something like that. Yeah, I'll actually have the desire to like do it, but for now we don't give loans. And then another thing I also want to treat: can international students get scholarship in Nigeria? I'll just talk a little about that. Then maybe later we'll like talk more about that as the days goes by, because I think the school fees thing actually is one of the major issues that people always have when thinking about coming to flight school. Like, it's one of the major issues, and I could understand, because seriously it's not easy like trying to look for all that money to like come to flight school. It's just, it requires so much determination, and maybe parents that have like planned ahead. So like I could really like understand what's up. But you know, the way you also go about it is actually what matters. You don't just like go pasting. Okay, there was a time somebody kept on commenting on the fact that Musa Sela, I'm happy about that. Thank you very much. And it's nice that you're here. It's nice that you're here. Thank you. Somebody went just posting, does NCAT give scholarship? Does NCAT give scholarship? And I just saw the comment, and I intentionally did not want to answer, because I'm like, who is this person trying to harass? What's the meaning of this? Like, if you asked it once and obviously I've not seen it, you should be patient enough to like wait to maybe till I see it before you like keep typing it in all the comment sections. Does NCAT give scholarship? Does NCAT give scholarship? And before talking about this international, does international students actually get a scholarship? So I'll just try to treat the fact that whether NCAT gives scholarship or not. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Sorry, I'm a little bit like distracted because of this. Okay, guys, now I'm going to talk about that. Does NCAT actually sponsor people for flight training? Yes, they sponsor people for flight training, but they don't like publicize sponsorships for flight training. They don't do that. Or personally, I haven't seen any publications for scholarship or sponsorships, but I've heard of people that were actually sponsored by NCAT for flight training. And now this is it. Probably if you're a citizen, maybe around this NCAT environment, or if you were recommended by somebody or something like that, yes, you can be sponsored. But just anybody, no, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen, or I haven't seen it. Maybe it's going to happen in your time, but currently I haven't seen that happen. So do they give scholarships? Yes, they actually give scholarships, but I really don't know the process of how these people get their scholarships. I just know that probably if you're a citizen, maybe they can like give you scholarship. As in citizen, an indigene, not the word citizen. What citizen is not it. Like, if you're an indigene around the environment, maybe yes, you can like get the scholarship. And also, if you were recommended by someone of very high authority, yes, you can be given scholarship. Then now the international student part. can international students get scholarship? Now I will say this depends on the parastatal giving the scholarship. Like when I was checking for now let me relate like outside Nigeria. Now when I was checking for some scholarships like outside Nigeria for flight training, I got to discover that most of these scholarships dealt with people from their own country, e.g. like US. If you're kind of like looking for a scholarship for US flight training, you will see that most of the scholarships that are available, they put US citizens, US citizens, US citizens. So indirectly, if you're not a US citizen, you can't get that kind of scholarship. So most of this, even when I think I was also looking for one time in UAE, the same thing you can get if you're a citizen of UAE. So you now need to know, depending on the parastatal, if peradventure an individual is given scholarship, obviously you know that you must have had like an maybe a kind of relationship with that person before you can like get the scholarship. If it's the government that is giving the scholarship, both of us know that they will definitely consult, or they will definitely first of all entertain their own persons, that's their citizens, because their citizens also need this thing as much as people from other countries need this thing. And for me, if you're from maybe some other countries, like especially developed countries, that you want to come to Nigeria to like school, if you really like Nigeria and you want to come to school, I feel it's going to be like a little bit cheaper, because you know the naira dollar stuff is totally upside down. The naira is kind of devalued and the dollar is quite higher, and so you're not going to get it as expensive as you're going to get other flight schools in your area. So if peradventure you really love it, uh okay, I sent you a question on the lucrative businesses you can start in Zaria. Okay, I think I saw a highlight on that. Is it concerning the one of can you actually start sales of shoes or something? Just like remind me so that we can talk about it in this video before the end of the video. Machunda, why do planes sometimes make circles before landing? Actually, it's not called like circles. It's like making and hold. There's like you have to follow like a particular holding pattern because of proper separation between each aircraft. So you have to like follow when you come to flight school and you do instruments, that's the rating instrument, you have to know how these things work. It's not like a cycle, but it's called making a hold. That's the best way I can like explain it for you to understand. It's not like cycles, it's actually making holds. So if you make holds, those big aircrafts actually make holds before coming to land. Sometimes like come in straight in, then it comes to land. This helps the air traffic controller like give proper separation to different aircrafts. Machunda, I would really like to know if it's that question you asked concerning starting a shoe business or something, so that I can talk about it for the end of this video. If not, like I will leave your reply in that actual comment. So guys, as I was telling you about getting international scholarships, or getting scholarships from the government, especially like the federal government, obviously like I was saying, they are going to consider their own persons before they even consider giving any other person scholarship. Even state governments, in fact, it's difficult because even people from other states cannot really, it's not like it's not possible. Yes, people get, but the probability of like getting a scholarship from a state that is not your state, it's really quite difficult. Okay, it's about the shoe business. Yes, I think you can actually start a shoe business in Zaria. Now it now depends. Are you selling the kind of shoes that students need? Are you selling random everyday work shoes, or you're selling like student pilot shoes, or you're selling like random wears? Because like I said in that video, we also, it's not just NCAT that we have around this area. We have like ABU, we have like FCE and other like schools around this area. So it just depends on the kind of shoes that you want to sell. Fair gorgeous beauty, is it compulsory that an aircraft must make a cycle before them? Yeah, it depends. If there are other aircrafts in the if there are other aircrafts, I'm going to say in the circuits or planning to come and land, you're not just the only one. Maybe people were already there before you. They are going to give you a hold. It's not like a circle. They are going to like give you a hold so that they can clear you guys one after the other. But if you're the only one, obviously they are going to like clear you straight in for you to come and land. So it just depends. If peradventure you're not the only one like in the I'm going to use I want to try to use a layman term, probably in the vicinity of the airports. Probably you're not the only one coming into land. Then you also have to like make a hold. Then they start clearing you guys one after the other. It's just for separation purposes and easy. Like it helps the controller, anyways, for separation purposes, so that everybody can have enough time, like you land before the next person is coming to land, and all that, to avoid, as we all know, air misses, crashes, and the rest. So that's actually what it is. So lastly, on the getting international scholarships, I think it's really going to be difficult for somebody from another country to like get a scholarship from Nigeria, or from another country, like an international student getting scholarship from Nigeria. So I would advise you look into your country very well. Obviously, every country has ways at which they want to like help their citizens. If they need you to like write exams for you to meet up the if they need to like write exams for you to meet up the scholarship requirements, I would advise you work hard, very very hard, read, and try your best. You will definitely get it. If not, you might have to like do maybe another aviation course, then work towards getting the money, then you now come into the flying part. But waiting for another country to like sponsor you, these things are possible, but it's quite dicey. You might be waiting for a while. So that's actually my advice concerning. So if you have any other question, we'll just give some little time. If you have any other question that you really like us to treat today, before like I do the normal shout out. Okay, welcome guys. I can see more people are joining. How does the autopilot work? Do airplanes use this? Yes. Capital letter yes. Okay, let me talk about that. Okay, starting from flight school, you start using your autopilot when I think they started teaching us how to like use the autopilot in the CPL phase, because the autopilot, we didn't have like autopilot in the aircraft we were using for PPL. So the TB9 doesn't like have an autopilot, but the TB20, which I used for my CPL, actually has an autopilot. So they start teaching you like how to use the autopilot from when it's available in the aircraft. That's what I'm going to use, because if they peradventure bring an aircraft that has an autopilot. Kelvin, yes, you are late, but thanks for coming. Welcome to today's live stream. Thanks for coming. So if the aircraft you're using for the PPL has an autopilot, definitely you're going to be using, or they're going to like teach you, because no instructor wants to send a student out without him or her knowing how to use at least every instrument on that aircraft, because it can be quite dangerous. If there is a GPS on that aircraft, if there's an ADF, if there is a means to use a VOR, if there's a means to use an autopilot, every single thing on that aircraft, they're going to make you understand how to use it, to avoid what I will call stories that touch. In case you have a need to use it, it will be very very important that you are able to use it. So they make sure they tell you everything in the aircraft. And when you start your CPL phase, when you start doing your navigation, moving from point A to point B efficiently, safely, and all that, you will need to like use the autopilot most of the time, like when calculating your estimate, when writing and all that. So you can't be flying and doing, you can actually be flying and doing it, but if you have an autopilot to help you, why want to stress yourself? You fly and you write, you fly and you write. So that's where they start teaching us about the autopilot. And every commercial aircraft definitely has an autopilot in it, or most of the commercial aircraft, because I don't want to talk about the turboprops and all. Even the turboprops, they have autopilots in them. So an autopilot is just like an additional instrument that is added. You can decide to have an autopilot even in a small aircraft. You can just decide to have in any aircraft. It's something you just pay for and they put in your aircraft. So commercial airliners need to use this. In fact, I think I've heard it before that in there are procedure manuals or operation manuals that says after climb out you engage the autopilot and all that. Some above 10,000 feet you engage the autopilot. So they keep using the autopilot for climbs, for descent, is when you like modernized. Have much questions today. Let me start from. Okay, you said, do all planes use this? Yes, most commercial aircraft actually use this because it's very important for them to like fly efficiently and safely, and you don't expect to be carrying 100 persons, 200 persons, and you are trying to move them with the controls up and down. No, it's not very okay. So they actually use this when taking off. If I got just beauty saying when taking off to crash. I was watching a video when taking off the air. Yeah, it's possible, and that's part of the most critical phases of flight, actually critical parts of flying actually. But yes, an aircraft can stall on takeoff, like you just pull and the aircraft will just stall and hit. These things happen. So yes, when taking off, actually an aircraft can stall. It's very dangerous. Nobody prays for that. So that's why it's always good to like apply caution. Please talk about those parts in the aircraft that can cause the aircraft to crash. Ah, is there any part of the aircraft? I'm really trying to get that question. I don't know if there's cross patching any part in particular. So much caution into flying, and you're not just the only one. You have like a safety pilot, you have a co-pilot. So if the captain is like doing something that is totally off or doing something that is not so good, like you have the other person, which is the co-pilot or the safety pilot, to like caution him or her. Please be careful, sir, please be careful. What are you doing? Like there's this communication in the cockpit that makes sure that anything I'm doing, my co-pilot understands. Anything my co-pilot is doing, I understand. And thank God for the safety pilot that can also like help you checkmate whatever you're doing. That's why most of the time in flights you always have like the safety pilots trying to say this, that, and watching everything that's like going on in the cockpit. So there's nothing in particular you can do, but there's nothing in particular in the aircraft that can like cause it to crash, but there are things the person controlling the aircraft can do that can cause it to crash. Musa Sela, was it difficult for you to get into NCAT? Well, I've given my stories, or my my stories concerning getting into NCAT. I've given it like several times, and so I can't really say that it was difficult for me, because I was just finishing university and I came over, and God so faithful and kind, I was able to like get in because I like wrote the exams in the second batch. I've said it before. I wrote, um, I didn't really. It didn't take me time. Sincerely, I don't want it to sound like I knew my other classmates that came earlier before me. They like spent some time at home. I think they spent I think like 5 months or 6 months. But me, as I tell my bought the form, they were calling for like another batch because some people had not yet paid, so they were calling like for another batch, and I was privileged to be among that batch that they were calling for. And when I came in, I wrote my exams, I did my parts, and what else? We went to wait for the results to come out. I think we waited for barely maybe 3 weeks or so. Then the results were out. When the results were out, then they said we'll resume. I think they gave us barely 1 month notice to like resume. So it's, for me personally, it wasn't difficult, but I've heard of people that took like a while. They start home for a while, they wrote the exams for a while, they bought form for a while. But for me, sincerely, it wasn't difficult for me to get in. I hope it will also not be difficult for you. Seriously, I don't really pray for it to be difficult for anybody, because waiting process in anything is not easy, guys. Waiting process in anything is not easy. uh Edo Timothy, uh how old were you when you got into NCAT, got an admission into, and what is your favorite plane? Can helicopter pilots pilot a plane, or does he need to be trained for a plane? Okay, how old was I? Sincerely, I can't even remember. But now I'm 24 anyways. I think maybe I was like 21 or so when I got into NCAT. I can't really remember. I did like have it in my mind, but I think I was like 21. But now I'm currently like 24, so I can't really remember how old I was when I got into NCAT. Um, my favorite plane, I really don't have any for now, but I think I like the Airbus series and all that. The Boeing 2 is quite nice, but I think I like the technology in the Airbus series. So I really don't have a favorite plane for now. Can helicopter pilots pilot a? I'm sure this what you mean is like pilot a fixed wing aircraft. Does he need to be trained? Actually, an helicopter pilot cannot pilot a fixed wing aircraft. There are some things that are different. The way they have rotor dynamics, we have aerodynamics, like knowing they are quite different, anyways. And you need to be trained as a fixed wing pilot to be able to pilot a fixed wing aircraft. You cannot just leave from you can't just leave from flying an helicopter to come and start flying. Like, you have to be trained. That's what I'm trying to say. You have to be trained. And fixed wing pilots also have to be trained for them to be able to fly the helicopter. So it's just like that. It's just intertwined, or I really don't know how to like put it, but you cannot just move from actually doing this to doing this. You need to be trained to like be able to do that. And but it's easy to switch because you know basically how aircraft work. All you have to do is to understand the dynamics, the rotor dynamics or aerodynamics behind the two of them. But you can also transfer your hours from, I mean, helicopter hours. You can bring it to your fixed wing hours. And if you're moving from the fixed wing to the helicopter, you can transfer your hours from the fixed wing to like helicopter. There are still flight hours. There are still experiences that you cannot buy in the market. You have to have passed through that process to be able to get it. So personally, I'm going to say that it's fun if you want to switch for any of them, either switching from rotor to fixed wing, or switching from fixed wing to like rotor. Trust me, I'm sure it's fun because I've seen people that switched and they say they don't regret it. It's quite fun. So if you want to try that, I think it will be really, really nice. Prosper Chinedu, welcome. And I really want to become a commercial pilot. Yes, you will become a commercial pilot if you put in the work, if you put in the work, if you put in the I'm going to say if you put in the work, if you put in the time, if you put in the resources needed to do this. You don't just sit in your room and just want to become a commercial pilot. It's step by step, guys. And trust me, you will get, if you start someday, you will definitely get there. So, but one thing is, I don't want you at home, they are so disturbed. It seems like it's very difficult to get into NCAT. How am I going to like do the whole process? What's going to like happen? Guys, it's one step at a time. You cannot just, don't kill yourself. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like one step at a time. If it's time to buy the form, prepare and wait. When it's time to write the exams, come, make sure you're prepared for the exams. Don't come and start giving excuses. When you come for the exam, do your best. When you do your best, you go and sit down and pray to God about it. When the results are out, if God so loves you, God favors you, definitely you're gonna have it. It's not, don't just stay at home and like think too much, too plenty about it. You'll be fine. That's just all I'm saying. say. So if you want to become a commercial pilot, yes you can, yes you will, and you will definitely be fine. Okay, gorgeous beauty. I mean, what are the things that can cause the aircraft? If the aircraft stalls, it can crash. If you get into unusual attitudes, you can crash. If you do dangerous things like putting up the fuel pump, putting up the fuel tank, you will crash. There are a lot of other things you can do. Many things. So many things. That's why caution will not be thrown into the wind. You just have to like pay so much attention to your flying, and you will definitely like do fine. So, gorgeous beauty, I hope I finally answered that question. What are the advantages of being a pilot? Ooh, that's actually a sweet question, Machunda. Thanks for asking that question. But now I can only give you, I can't really say much because I'm under training. And for now, since I'm not being like paid for flying now, I can't really say, okay, I travel to so many places, I do this, I do that, I do that, I do that. That's why I said I can't really, for now I've not basically started seeing most of the benefits of being a pilot. So I'm not like the best position to like tell you so many of all these things, but I know very soon like I'm going to be able to like much more. That's what I mean, like so much more. But I've watched a lot of videos about benefits of being a pilot, and if you're still thinking too much about it, I think you should like watch. There's some videos online, I think made by Captain Joe. I think I've watched a video of Captain Joe. I think I've watched a video of Maria. I think there's this Maria the pilot or something. Like there are so many on YouTube. You can like watch it to like see some benefits, some advantages. But for now, since I'm not being paid for flying, I can't really say, okay, this is what you get, this is the salary, this is where you travel to, these are the opportunities you get, and all that. So I'm so sorry that I can't answer that question. I can't answer that question for now. Okay. What are the categories of behavior a pilot must have? Okay, I made some like etiquettes of good pilots, something like that. I think I mean like etiquettes of like good pilots, but some of the things personally, I would say from my own experience, some of the things I feel, uh, some of the things I feel that pilots must have. Number one, good communication skills. I'm not putting this in any order, and these are not scripted. Actually, you're asking me, that's how I'm thinking about it and telling you. So just communication skills, because communication is very, very important. Any word that is misunderstood in the cockpit can cause a crash. Any word that is misunderstood in the cockpit can cause something else. So you need to have good communication skills. That's number one. Number two, I think you need to be a person that is very articulate, like somebody that manages time, because flying is all about time. People are trying to like save their money. People are trying to like save, like they're trying to buy time. Instead of following the road, they want to like fly. So if you're a person that you don't manage time, you're going to have an issue, seriously. Not only that, something else like I can think about that is good for pilots is somebody that you need to be calm, because when emergencies throw themselves on you, it will be, you need to have like be able to think through things. Seriously, this is something that I had to start learning like recently. You need to like process a lot of things. If you're too agitated, you cannot like process so much information. You might just jump into doing things that you're not supposed to do and put everybody into danger. So there are a lot. Probably we are going to have, I think I need to write that down. We are going to have a video on that, attributes and characteristics a pilot, or I think like a pilot should have. I think I will need to be doing that video some time from now. Okay, Machundi Sitali. I said, okay, you should give me the full pronunciation of that name, and since you refused to, I just call it the way I know how to call it. Why is it important for pilots to be proficient in more than one language? Proficient in more than one language, I'm really not aware about that, because personally, I think I can speak just English and maybe a little bit of Yoruba, but I don't think it's a requirement. But I think it's an added advantage if you're flying in a country that uses French or maybe Arabic or maybe Spanish or maybe German. If you're flying in any of these countries, it can be like an added advantage. But the general aviation language is English. English proficiency is needed everywhere, in every country, in every state, in every land. So if you have your English proficiency, I think you're good, you're fine. You don't I don't think you need to have more than one more than one language proficiencies, but I think it's an added advantage. If you have it, it's an added advantage. Fair Gorgeous Beauty, if engine fails when in the aircraft when the aircraft is on the air, what will the pilot do? Emergency procedures. Before we take off, we do, as student pilots actually, before we take off, we do like an emergency briefing. If there's an emergency before takeoff, this is what I'm going to do. If there's an emergency after takeoff. But the truth is that sometimes in reality, like, you get frozen, like, you get frozen and you don't even, you're not able to like do most of these things. But actually, we brief ourselves. The instructor is going to tell you, if there's an emergency, this is what's going to happen. You're going to brief your instructor. If there's an emergency, I'm going to give you controls, blah blah blah. But we all follow the emergency procedures. And if the engine fails, you look for a field. If it's a single engine aircraft, you look for a field and you land. If it's not a single engine aircraft, then you have to like use one engine. You come and land the aircraft, or see if you can continue depending on where you are. So basically, they teach us emergency procedures, and I think that's actually what makes you a pilot. Handling those kind of awkward situations, it like makes you a, a very smart and proficient or very good pilot. Nobody prays for emergencies, but when it comes, the good thing, it's always best. Like, you can, Musa Sela, I think Captain Joe has made a video concerning that. If you can check it out, they talked about like advantages. Not only that, there are some other pilots, I really don't know their names now, but I've watched their videos, advantages of becoming a pilot, and seriously, they are good advantages. Maybe when I get to like the airlines or when I start working, I can tell you more additional. I don't really have much to talk about that. Okay, what would be a pilot's role during an emergency? To take charge, to control, communicate to the passengers, to communicate to the air traffic controller. Well, communication is usually the last. When you've gotten the aircraft under control and you think everything is fine, then you cannot relate to your passengers what's going on. You can also relate to the air traffic controller your situation at that time, if peradventure you need help, or if you do not need help, something like that. Whenever you have an emergency, the first thing is to keep the aircraft under control. You aviate, you navigate before you communicate either to the passengers or to the air traffic controller. And sincerely, guys, I don't really know why we're talking about so much emergencies this night, but emergency is something you do not want to have, if possible, throughout your career. I'm telling you, it's not really a good thing, because when it happens, like, I really don't think about it. But when it happens, seriously, for people that have heard that it happened to, it's usually not fun. It's not fun at all. Pilots are required to take many simultaneous responsibilities during flight. What's your view on this? Actually, that's why some are now there to like help us reduce the workload, because that's part of being a pilot. You have to be able to multitask, do this, at the same time. You're, especially as a student pilot, these are things you learn. You're trying to fly, you're straight and level, you're trying to change tank, you're trying to communicate, you're trying to make sure the aircraft, especially during turbulent weather, you're trying to make sure the aircraft is not bounced. The instructor is telling you to do. See, guys, there are a lot of things. That's the truth. It's not just smooth. You just take off. You're just going. Just like the way you enjoy the commercial airliners, like just like the way they fly, and you're just in the cabin, you're just doing nothing, you're just chilling, drinking your tea. It's not like that. In the cockpit, you have so much responsibilities to do, so many things to do, and so you need to be a person that can do so many things at the same time. I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that, I'm trying doing a lot of things. That's what I'm trying to say, guys. You need to be able to do a lot of things during flying, and it's part of it. I think it's part of the flying, and my view on it is just a normal thing. But when there are things like autopilot to like help us, it makes the work a little bit stress. It makes the work kind of stress free. Like it reduces the stress on the job. So that's why we all need like the autopilot. Sometimes people say, "Oh, autopilot is kind of boring," but I think it's also needed. It's so needed. You're gonna be flying a 5-hour flight and you're holding control throughout. Like, gosh, you cannot be flying 200 persons and you're battling with the controls. I don't think it's quite cool. Okay, I am an Arab girl and I speak English. I think it's very good. Yeah. Wow, that's nice. I never knew that. Welcome. It's really nice talking to an Arabian. Fair gorgeous. Okay, please talk about being who you are. Like being who you are. Um, Flying or being an aviator or being in the aviation industry, does it really have a way of changing our personalities? Yes, if you don't handle issues right, it has a way of changing your person. It has a way of making you to kind of become somebody else. If you're not careful, you start complaining, you start grunting, you start getting angry, you start seeing people like, I beg, these ones are there, those ones are there, all that. Especially maybe if you're making so much money in the industry, or you just feel you can get everything at your like beck and call, that kind of stuff. Maybe you might start thinking of people in a different manner. So it might actually transform who you are. So the best thing, remember what brought you and remember where you came from. I think the major reason why people forget who they are is because they forget where they came from. If you easily forget where you came from, you are going to lose your person, because you should still see yourself responsible for the lives of people. You should still see yourself responsible for your family back at home. You should still see yourself as a daughter, as a son, as probably a mother or a father. Just by looking up to you, remember that you've got responsibilities. Remember, you lose your person. You lose your person. Please, guys, try not to lose your person. In any industry you go to, try not to lose your person. Slim Pilot is online today. Okay, it's really nice having you here. Okay, Ed Timothy, does a pilot have one way to travel to a particular country, or the way changes all the time? For instance, traveling from Nigeria to US, does a pilot have to follow one way all the time? Actually, drawing from the map or drawing from the chart, it's actually one way. But now some things might change that particular one way. If if a country that you're likely passing through says we don't want anybody at our airspace, you might have to like cut to meet up. Or if maybe there's a restriction, or what I'm just trying to think of things that might make you cut. For now, I can't really think of some things that can make you cut, but it's actually one way. If you draw it from the chart, it's actually one way, but there are some things that can make you follow a different route. And if you're flying like an IFR flight, you don't go straight. You like have to follow like you have to follow like gates, FIRs. You don't just, it's not like VFR flights that you just move direct. I'm trying to put these things at like in layman terms, so that you can really get what I'm trying to say. If you check the chart, if you're doing an IFR flight, which is definitely like past airways, and when you do your instrument, you're going to learn what all these airways are, how to, you know, report at airways, TMAs, and all that. So you're just going to learn it, but basically it's the same process that every okay. Sorry guys, I'm trying to like get other questions. Can a pilot still become a basketballer? Is it possible? Yeah. And seriously, that's quite funny. You can do anything. I really don't know if there are restrictions. There are no restrictions. You can basically do anything so far you're fit, so far you're okay. Like, people have other sports, people have other things that they play, people have other things that give them, like, people have other things that give them fun, like, just the fun part of it, the fun part of life, like feeling like nice. So if that's a kind of sports that you like, why not? You can play your basketball, you can play your volleyball, you can play your anything, you can do your stuff. It doesn't really stop you from becoming a pilot. So those are just like additional things, like you just add to it. And okay, Machunda Sitali, what do you mean by V1? V1 is actually decision speed, and every aircraft actually has their own decision speed. So at that point, you make a decision: am I going to take off, go to VR, or am I going to like discontinue the flight? So it's actually decision. It's just as simple as that. It's a decision speed. uh Fair gorgeous beauty. So that we can. Okay, which sports do you mean, like, which sport do I like? Actually, me, which sport do I like? Uh, I think I like anything that has to do with like running or so. I really don't know, but I think I like the fun of racing. Anything racing, I that's really nice. Like, anything racing is actually nice. So I may play. Okay, sorry. Seeing another question. Can a pilot drink? Can a pilot drink and smoke? Sincerely, guys, I really don't know if a pilot can. It's not allowed. Can a pilot drink or smoke? It's not allowed. But do people do it? Yes, they do it. Obviously, you've seen people do it. Yes, pilots do it, but it's not good. Drinking, smoking, I really don't flow along with that. I don't think it's really, really nice to drink or to smoke, because it deteriorates the health, the general well-being of the person. So drinking or smoking, it's not going to be nice stuff. It's not going to be. It's not something a pilot should be doing. Yeah. So if you've seen pilots like doing it, I'm going to advise that you tell them the truth. I'm not going to lie to you. Tell them the truth. It's not advisable. Or it's not advisable that they do it, but actually people do it. People do it, and it's not good. It's not good. What do you mean by LDA? LDA? I really don't know what that LDA means. Did I actually say LDA? What do you mean by LDA? I really don't know. I didn't type anything like LDA, so I really can't tell what LDA means. I'm sorry about that. As an LDA, as it concerns flying or what, I really don't know. I mean, play it as an occupation to earn a living. Okay, yeah. You can. It's like having multiple streams of income. Like, you're flying, you now also want to be a basketballer. If you can combine the two together to make you money, why not? Why not? You can combine the two and you get money from it. It's a good thing. So that's what I'm really going to advise. If you can combine the two to make you money, then it's nice. What was your motive behind becoming a pilot? Personally, I've always like loved it. I've always loved to become a pilot since when I was small. I wanted to have something to do with aviation, making of aircraft, flying of aircraft, repairing of aircraft. So that has been my I just love the concept, like being around aircraft. I don't know where it came from. I can't say it came from here or it came from there, but I just thought in my head like, oh, I can't wait to like make an aircraft, fly an aircraft, repair an aircraft. Yeah, I've always wanted to do this. So when the opportunity came, I was so happy to like, grab it. So that's all in fact, I didn't even have a second option of doing any other thing. That's all I've wanted to do. So the motto, I can't really say what my motto was, but I have just loved the concept of aviation right from when I was growing up. Okay. Edo Timothy, I think I've answered that question concerning doing it as an occupation. If you get me, just let me know if you got what I said concerning that. In a situation where the ground crew is running behind or was busy with another job, what would be your role in loading the airplane with boxes? You cannot, for airlines, you definitely cannot load the air. It's only if you're doing the private jet stuff. Like if you're doing the private jet stuff, then you will now have to like you have to like load the boxes and all that. That's if you're flying if you're on the private jet area, the corporate area, that you have to pick your boss one-on-one, your passengers one-on-one. But if you're not doing that, when it's an airline system, everything is regulated. You cannot be the one loading your aircraft. It's not in fact, even in flight school, yes, it's just like saying a student coming to refuel the aircraft. That is not the student's job. That doesn't mean a student cannot be punished to say, okay, your punishment is for you to come and but it's not even safe because the guy doesn't know the requirements to do that. As a pilot, yes, we learn how the weight and balance everything works, but it's not our sole jobs. We have the loaders, we have the standard flight operations persons that have to like do this job. So basically, we do not load the aircrafts for the air in the airline, except if you're flying commercially. Like if you're flying corporate stuff, then you have to load the aircraft by yourself. And most of the time, loading that for corporate stuff, the load is usually not much. The catering is not that much because how many passengers are you carrying? It's not much. So basically, that's it, guys. Okay, wow. I'm really happy today. I'm really answering a lot of questions today. Okay, LDA, like a precision approach that is offset from the runway, is known as, okay, localizer type of directional aid, and it may be ground speed. Okay. I really did not understand that way you meant like the LDA stuff. And I think most of these things are in instrument. Like during your instrument rating, you have to learn like most of these things because you'll be dealing with flying NDVs, VORs, ILS, if possible, back course, airways, and DME acts. What else is left in all the things I mentioned? You actually be all these things in instrument rating. So, and that's actually what I'm doing right now. So most of these things I'm just like learning how to do them. Okay, Edward Timothy, you said yes, I answered your question perfectly. Thanks for your intelligence. Thank you, Edward Timothy. I really appreciate that. And seriously, you guys have stayed up to this time. I really appreciate your effort to come for this live stream to ask your questions. It's a privilege because these your questions also help me like think about more things in aviation. In fact, I spent my time reading about this NTSB stuff today, like the career opportunities in this NTSB. If you guys also want to know more career opportunities, not just flying, I can like I have a book concerning that. I can like bring it maybe for tomorrow's live stream and we can talk about one or two career opportunities, not just flying, maybe safety on the safety aspect, before I give a shout out to everyone that joined me in today's live stream, I will also be giving my conclusion notes by telling you guys that something very, 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 very vital. Okay, let me just give my shout out to everyone. Fair Gorgeous Beauty, thanks for being here. Edo Timothy, thank you for being here as usual. Okay, Machinda Sitali, thanks for being here. Musa Sela, thanks for joining me in today's live stream. Like, it's really nice having you. Kelvin, yes, I know you came late, but at least you came. And so it's really, really nice, like, having you here. Prosper Chinedu, thanks for coming to today's live stream. And for everyone that also did not comment on their names, Slim Pilot, thanks for being here alive, live, and in person. In person and live. I really don't know how to put those words. Thank you so much, Eda20. I really appreciate you guys coming. So my conclusion note for today's live stream is, don't forget who you are. Don't forget why you started what you started. Don't forget why you decided to go for that dream. Don't forget, because things will definitely come that want to test your faith, that want to test your motives, that want to test your abilities. But when you keep reminding yourself, this is the reason why I started, I'm not going to give up now. This is the reason why I started, I'm not going to give up now. Then you will definitely not give up. So guys, I really appreciate for joining me in today's live stream. Like over 1 hour, guys. Thank you so, so much. Till we meet next time, even on the same channel, keep watching. If you've not subscribed, make sure you click on the subscribe button and click on that bell so whenever I post any video, you'll be able to see it. Till we meet next time in tomorrow's live stream. Bye, guys.